Ghosts of the Coast Volume 4, starring Rattlesnake Dre, Blake Tauzin, and Kyle Crosby of Louisiana Dread.
Now, even with stories like Rougarou and stuff, it all just kind of seems a little bit too perfect for certain things, Like, when you heard the Rougarou for the first time, what was it about?
It was a mythical creature. Actually, the first time I heard about a Rougarou was I was in high school and I was playing football, and somebody was running, caught an interception or whatever, running to touchdown, and they said the fear that they had, they thought it was like they were running in the marsh from the Rougarou. And I was like, what? What the hell is that? So I asked my dad, and my dad's like, it's a mythical creature that lives in the swamp, in the woods, and when you're not supposed to be there, that's what's going to come and get you.
Wow. Because, my grandma told me that if I was bad, that motherfucker was going to come and get me. And there's nothing she could have done about it. It was just that Rougarou was going to get me. And my nanny used to say, pinch my toes when I'd sleep. But I didn't believe that. Because if it's something that mean, that thing ain't coming in my room just to pinch my toes.
No.
He's coming in there to maul me.
Yeah.
Eat me and just devour it. So it was mostly out of obedience, through fear. You get someone afraid of doing something, they'll do whatever you want.
And a long time ago, kids didn't have TV, they didn't have radio, they didn't have video games. So they were like, playing with marbles and all that stuff, so they would get bored quickly. So of course they would go and explore and, go into the woods and the marsh, and there's no telephone to call them or anything like that. So
no, and they drop all kind of shit, and that's what you find.
Yeah. Like just today, I found a couple marbles, a thimble, and a little piece of jewelry. But I love finding the marbles because it's so personal.
Isn't that crazy though? Like one of those kids could have been like thinking about the Rougarou, running from it,
That's
exploring.
Lost their marbles.
Hey. Oh man, to go from marbles to Marvel today, to where you'll have these kids obsessed with all these superheroes and stuff like that. My superhero growing up was Amos Moses, the wrestler who every now and then come to the Galliana Centroplex. And he, through a crowd of like 60 people, most of them children, and he just jumped from the top rope and shit. And then we go home and it's pitch black, and I look in the bayou and I see the moonlight reflecting off Bayou Lafourche. And as a kid, I was thinking, even the Rougarou could fuck up Amos Moses.
It would be a fight, but
he would put up a fight. They could duel. What if Amos Moses and the Rougarou could duel? And
that's a movie. Speaking of the Centroplex, you want to hear a crazy story about that?
Yes.
Okay, so they have rodeos there, right? And I got a couple friends that are cowboys and stuff, so they invited me, and I went one time, and he's like, hey, last year. Okay, so I'm sitting down, and they're letting these big giant bulls come out. He said last year, the bull stuck his horns underneath one of the fences and got out. And I'm like,
shit.
Got out where? And he's like, in the audience. And he said, people were running. Okay, this is cut off, right?
Yeah.
So you know how they have the pontoon bridge in the church?
Well, it's the Galliano Centroplex.
Oh, see, I'm screwed up with the cut off Galliano line.
Oh,
again.
the line again, yeah.
So anyway, the bull sticks his horns under the fence, throws it up in the air, realizes he can get out, runs up the street, and there's cowboys on horses with lassos chasing him, runs all the way up the street, past the church, crosses the fucking pontoon bridge.
Get the fuck out of here.
So imagine being that bridge tender, and all of a sudden you hear da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. You look, and there's a bull running across the bridge in tow, right behind cowboys. Get back! Get back! Can you imagine going home and be like, babe, you know what happened to me tonight?
Would not believe you.
Only in Lafourche Parish, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell yeah, baby.
I just thought you'd enjoy that story.
I can't wait to do an episode about that. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And you can talk. There's some people that were like there that night.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And I'm
Get...
sitting in the stands like 20 feet away from these things, and he's telling me the story. I'm like, well, did they do anything to stop that this year?
No.
Because I don't mess with creatures that are bigger than me.
Right.
If they're over 238 pounds, I don't fuck with them that much.
You stay clear of Roxas. I bet.
Whoa! That's fat shaming. Hey, listen. Bigger girls will always cook you breakfast, brother. Remember that. Blueberry pancakes.
I'm the bigger girl that cooks a breakfast, though.
Hey, there you go.
I'm a little hefty boy myself. I like breakfast.
Me too. I like breakfast, lunch, second lunch, and supper.
What about 11s?
11s?
Yeah.
Like right before you go to bed and you're like, I gotta eat some pizza. Mm-hmm. There you go. Jumping back to the stuff that I've found, I've already found some porcelain dolls, like the arms and the legs. When they used to make porcelain dolls, they would sew them together and make the body. Yeah. And they'd have the arms and the legs, and the head would be porcelain.
That's creepy, bro.
Very creepy. Because those doll parts, like when I'm walking in the field, they won't show up on my metal detector, but from the rain washing it away, you'll find straight up an arm or a leg. But the creepiest thing are these little tiny children that are laid out straight. Like their arms are by their sides, and their legs are stretched out. And they were little porcelain dolls, and they were painted with their eyes closed. And that was to symbolize like a dead child. And they would give them to the children and say, look, this is the little kid to play with. But if you be bad, this is what happens. Death.
All obedience. Right.
It was hard to control kids back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, even with how strictly Catholic this whole area is, that's really the main goal was you have these strict laws and these strict guidelines. Like, even in the 60s, up into the 1960s, you couldn't cremate people if you're a Catholic.
Because of the laws. Let me ask you this. I've been on 2 or 3 locations. I won't metal detect in graveyards. I won't metal detect around churches for respect. But I have metal detected around, I did metal detect around a graveyard in an accident because the graveyard was plowed over. No headstones, no nothing like that. Okay. And I've metal detected around a home for nuns. All nuns live there. And I found, on one property I went, and I found 2 or 3 religious medallions.
Okay.
And then on another site, I found a rosary and a silver religious coin. And from the research that I've done and the stories that I've been told were when you'd go and you'd pray or go ask the nuns for help with something, they would say, you have to say so many Hail Marys. You're gonna fast for 3 days. But you say a prayer and you bury some of these religious items.
Wow. Interesting.
And I found, and the reason why I find them and I know they're buried is because one spot, it was all around the front of the home. And in another spot, at least 5 different items were all found around a tree. It was the one tree on the property because they used to have a graveyard. It was actually my father-in-law's yard. They dug a pool. I talked about this already on the show. They dug a pool and they dug up 5 or 6 graves. So they stopped construction. They called LSU out. The bodies were from pre-1900s. And when they did the radar scan of the property, they said there's more bodies, to the right of the house. So so the pool comes out the back of the house and it's all the way to the right. And to the left, like it's not centered with the house, the back door, because there's still bodies there.
They didn't find any with the pool?
When they dug the pool, they found 5 or 6.
5, okay. Wow.
But they had already started digging the pool, and they only dug on one side, so they told them to dig further on the other side than have it in the middle of the house.
Right.
And that was right around the same time the movie Poltergeist came out.
Oh, bruh.
And if you research those stories, there's multiple stories of people digging pools and finding bodies like that.
Oh yeah, of course. And people just randomly would do that, and just random bodies would would come. And I got into a debate with somebody not that long ago who came into my work, and sprouting this bullshit like the reason why we build the cemeteries and stuff above ground is because the bodies float up when it rains. But you go down to Leeville, and there's a big concrete slab. If it ain't floating up on it, if you put a concrete slab over it, they're not floating up. It's just our culture. You see it in France and Spain, whatever. But you go down to Leeville and you start walking in the water, you're gonna start tripping over those gravestones and stuff. And that's crazy. You ever went down to Leeville and found some or anything like that in like those marshes? Or is it hard to do with water?
Well, I've metal detected in the water, and the machine I have, I can go down like 6 feet or whatever.
Oh wow. Damn,
But,
6 feet in the
6
water?
6 feet, yeah. I had a machine that I can go down like 500 feet, but it was so heavy.
Oh, you need to work out more, Andre.
Right.
That's your
I
problem.
don't know. I got pretty big forearms.
Oh, it got to be bigger.
It's from dueling.
I'll bet. So you could. That amazes me. 6 feet
Yeah.
is.
And I've gone and looked for like
deep.
people's necklaces have come off, gold necklaces and stuff like that. But on the beach, a beach will act just like a gold pan. So you take a gold pan and you spin it in a circle.
Yeah.
And all the gold concentrates itself in one little spot. Well, if you ever noticed on a beach, you'll have sand, and all of a sudden you'll have a big long stretch of rocks. Whenever you're treasure hunting on the beach, don't waste your time. Well, I mean, metal detect everywhere as long as you have time. But if you only have a limited amount of time, go search that one spot where all those rocks are, because that's where all the heaviest items go. And I follow a bunch of guys on YouTube, and I've found the guy that after a hurricane on the East Coast, he found 53 gold rings
Wow.
in one day.
Wow.
And I don't know, gold's like $1,200 an ounce right now. So imagine his day, if he cashed all that in.
Right.
But I've gone on Fouchon Beach before, and if you walk all the way to the end where the pass is, because stuff is coming out of that pass and it circles back, the current's going to push it back. There's little bands of rocks, and in those bands of rocks, I found coins laying on top of the ground. I found all kind of different objects there, because it works as a natural sluice.
That's crazy. I mean, that's the whole reason why the whole island's moving.
Right.
Grand Isle itself is moving slowly, getting closer towards Caminada.
You know it's illegal to metal detect on Grand Isle?
No, I did not know that. Why?
I'm not sure. I would like to think that they don't want people to find all the cool shit,
Right.
But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to act dumb when they tell me. Like, oh, man, I didn't know. You were here 2 weeks ago. We just told you to get off the beach.
We just told you. I'm the same guy.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
they're going to hear you admit it, too, so...
Anyway, my name's Blake Tauzin. I've actually never found anything historical connected through Grand Isle, just because I don't hunt beaches as much, because you find a lot of modern stuff.
Yeah.
And the chances of you finding something that's historical is slim to none.
Yeah.
If you search long enough, you sure will. It's only, like, that's the way I think about metal detecting. It's only a matter of time.
There's exceptions to the rules and everything.
Right.
So you've never bothered, like, Cheniere and stuff?
Cheniere would be the one place that I would love to go, just because of the stories I've heard. When you gave the example of that church with the bell, all churches had a cash box that they kept, and there's a story that two little girls had found a treasure chest full of silver coins that belonged to the church, and after the storm, there was two gentlemen that came along, found it, basically shunned away the girls and took the box. And that family's, I don't want to say the last name because I have friends that have the same last name, but it's they say that that's why that family still has money today.
Well, you could say it. We're gonna take it as it out.
It's the Crosby family. I was looking out for you.
It's not my fucking family.
So if you want to go ahead and lay it out there,
it's not my family. It's different Crosbys. I'm from Grand Isle.
Right. So it was a Crosby's. No, but one of the coolest stories I've heard of Grand Isle is I don't know if it was in the 60s, I want to say 60s or 50s. Some of the people that were on Grand Isle were going to school, and there was 2 young boys that had found where the beach was washing away on the backside of the island. There was a graveyard there, and it was washing out some of the graves, and some of the graves were from pirates, and they found old pistols that were all rusted up, and they were like, they were like twice the size because of all the oxidation on all the pistols. But they found the gold earrings that were in with the bones, and they had put the earrings on their ear and were walking around the school with the old flintlock pistol.
Wow.
So it's out there. It's just really hard to find. Like I spent the weekend at Fort Livingston, and I put some videos up on my Facebook, and that place is awesome.
Yeah, I was jealous when I saw that. I was pumped that I got to kind of see it from a POV perspective. Go check that out if you listen to this on YouTube. It's Rattlesnake Dre on YouTube.
Right.
And
Rattlesnake Dre, I got it on YouTube. I got it on my Facebook page. And don't be scared to go look all around because it's kind of hard to find them. But if you look good enough, there's a bunch of rooms that it's basically like 3 foot by 2 foot opening. And you crawl in there and it opens up into a room that's, probably 50 square foot or bigger.
Interesting.
And it's definitely some creepy vibes in there. But the coolest part of that whole trip had nothing to do with history and had nothing to do with the fort. So it was a friend of mine's birthday. She wanted to go to the fort. So we jumped in a boat. We went across the pass. We landed on the backside of the island. We came on the front side. We made camp. Went explore the fort. It was awesome. That night, we go back to the tent. We make a fire. And we're just kind of hanging out, looking at the stars. It's right at dusk. These hand gliders start passing over us. And it's guys, and it's basically like a large shop fan on their back, which propels them into the air with their hand glider. And we had stopped at the gas station to get, those little bottles of whiskey and stuff that's like 99 cents?
Yeah.
That is the worst thing you could ever put in your body. So we bought a bunch of those, and we were shooting those. We had drank about a case of beer. So we're watching these hand gliders pass over us, and we're like, man, this is so cool. We're waving at them. Well, right at dusk, it was getting so dark, we had made our way back to the tent, and we're sitting around the fire. This one guy flies in, starts dropping down, and I'm like, I think that dude's about to land. The dude lands like 20 feet away from us.
Wow.
And you can go on my Facebook page and watch the video. I'm freaking out. I'm completely shit-faced. And the first thing I ask him is, you looking for Grand Isle, man?
You stupid motherfucker.
And you can hear my friends in the background like, no shit. What do you think he's doing? But all the guys that flew over us before, it was about 4 guys flew over us before, landed on the opposite side of the island because we were on the fort. And they were camping out there. He saw our campfire, thought it was his friends.
Oh.
And he landed on our campsite. And I watched him. I couldn't hear him because of his fan, but I'm literally 10, 20 feet away from him. I watch him mouth the words, oh shit. Because he's looking at us going, you're definitely not my friends. So we conversated for about, 2 minutes about like, oh man, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And right before he says, I'm going to have to take off and try and find my friends. Now it's pitch black dark. So right before he leaves, I was like, hey man, you know you're crazy, right? And he goes, yeah, I know. And just takes off back into the darkness and flies to the end of the island.
Wow. I wonder if he found his friends.
I'm sure. I follow him on Facebook now, so I'm sure he survived.
I don't know if he survived, and if he just found his friends and just said, fuck it, and went to the island to Artie's. That's what I've done. We just flew away.
Yeah.
We have that now. We can just, okay, bye, and just fly away. Am I the only one that's freaked out about this here?
I was just thinking, I'm like, man.
That's cool as fuck.
I can carry my metal detector and a shovel in my hand, and I could just jump island to island metal detecting.
Yeah.
Speaking of Artie's, the very first ring I've ever found was right on the little. Okay, so you go to Artie's, there's a little trail right over the beach.
Yeah.
The very first ring I've ever found was right on top of that hill.
Wow.
I was thinking that people were just making out or fucking on top of the levee and they lost their ring.
Yeah, maybe. I used to work at Artie's. Yeah, that was a bar back.
I go metal detect underneath that big dock in the back.
Yeah, I'm sure they got a lot of shit that fell through those cracks.
Thousands of pennies.
Oh,
That's all you find. Thousands of pennies.
Well, that's like at least tens of dollars.
Yeah. Enough to get you a drink at Artie's.
That's true. Yeah, turn it right back into cash. I mean, Grand Isle itself has so much history. It's absurd. You could just walk anywhere. I'm sure you'd find so much shit.
You know what's weird I found on Grand Isle that tells a story? I found a railroad spike on Grand Isle.
Yeah.
Did not know that they had a railroad on Grand Isle, but they did.
Yeah, they took it from the Chapatoulas rail station in New Orleans, and they put it on the island, and they took these old slave cabins from the Barataria plantation, and they converted those into luxury hotel rooms. And as soon as you got to the dock, from the ferry that took you from New Orleans, you get on a little train, and you'd go from the dock to the hotel, and the train went straight down the way.
How did people get to Grand Isle before the bridges? It was all by boat? Ferry.
They had all kind of boats that would always come down through steamboats. They had a bus at one time. After they built the bridge, they had a bus that used to ride from Grand Isle to New Orleans.
There's a picture of that bus on the beach itself.
Yeah.
That old picture. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks kind of desolate because it's just the bus and the driver, and there's nothing else in the picture.
Right. That's before they built the levee and all that stuff.
Yeah, that even looks crazier when you see Grand Isle before a levee.
Right, because you just, in your brain, it's always there.
Mm-hmm. Always been there, of course, but I mean, could you imagine? There would be nothing left.
Right.
If they didn't build that levee.
And that's why, like along Baie Lafourche, I only metal detect about 100 yards away from Baie Lafourche because they built those levees in the 30s. And a lot of people's like, dude, I have this pasture that goes all the way to the back. You're more than welcome to go metal detect. And it doesn't even pay because I know, I mean, unless you had a dugout P-Rog, you weren't going back there.
Well, they do have reports of because when slaves, they had two places to go when they'd run away. They would have, but they wouldn't necessarily have anything, like gold rings, maybe. You never know. But they'd either go to the river, which is the interstate system on steroids, Baie Lafourche. That's main street. Everybody's using the waterways. Or they go in the swamps. If they survive, they get into Cajun country. Cajuns would be in there. They take them in. They wouldn't turn them into runaway patrols, things like that. That's why kind of Cajuns and Creoles are roughly the same today, but genetically speaking. But they had people that went back there, bro. That's how Lafitte. That's how he got around, was going through those little back bayous and stuff.
A lot of people don't realize that Jean Lafitte passed straight up and down Baie Lafourche over and over and over.
He'd pass all over the place down in the marshes too, Pierre Part, that whole area, Chafalaya Basin, Morgan City.
And that's why they acquired him for the War of 1812, because he knew all those secret bayous, and the British didn't really know that much.
Well, he had ammunition, and he had men.
Because he stole it from the British.
Well, he also was a pirate. He had all kind of other shit too. But if it wasn't for Jean Lafitte, and I have another episode coming out about this on Louisiana Dread, but if it wasn't for Jean Lafitte, the British would have taken New Orleans, and New Orleans would have been a British occupied, and they'd have torn up the peace treaty, the 1812 peace treaty, signed a couple months before, when the United States and the UK. Because a lot of people may or may not know that the actual Battle of New Orleans took place after the war was over. The war was completely over. But the way communications worked back then, it was just so slow that the whole battle was fought while the war was technically over. But had the British actually won that battle, who's to say that the king would have been like, "Hey, we're not giving New Orleans back. We won that battle," you know, and it would have sort of the whole other traka word of the day. And who knows what would have happened? It could have altered history, you know. But if it wasn't for Jean Lafitte, the Barataria pirates, my ancestor included, Ne Coupe, Louis Chigazola, Vincent Gamby, all those people, Dominique You, all the Portuguese, the free people of color, the Cajuns, Creoles, slaves, everybody who's fighting, you know, they did a lot more than Andrew Jackson, but he gets a lot of credit for it. But he didn't do much. It was mostly those people.
That's where I need to go is Chalmette.
Bro, I want to come with you. The Chalmette battlefield and just that whole area.
And I've already scouted out an area there. They have the Chalmette battlefield, and I don't know if it's to the east or the west, but there's a strip of woods that's right on the side of it. And I used to go to a campground with one of my friends, and he said his dad has told us stories that when they were little, they lived around that area, and they would go in those woods, and they would find broken pieces of cannonball laying out in the woods.
Wow.
From that battle.
You think the Rougarou broke the cannonball?
I mean, if you hit him, I mean, you saw what that sucker looked like. I don't think a cannonball will stop him.
Nah, man. That's scary. You better bring something to help you in the woods, in the swamps, if you're going, just in case.
Silver bullets?
I mean, what if it's a lieutenant that comes and it follows you home? Remember, it's a kid that died before he got baptized, so he'll just latch on to you. Go back to your home, and then you're gonna put powder on the floor to make sure it's
see
him.
the footprints.
You see the footprints rolling.
With all the stuff that I do have in my house and I have in my relic room, I don't feel it anymore. But I guarantee you, if somebody else would walk in there and just hold a couple, I mean, I've let a couple guys in here hold some of those artifacts I dug up, and there's more than just the physical weight that it carries. It's really creepy when you hold a Civil War bullet that you know hit somebody.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, of course.
But I would love to get in the Chalmette area because that was, what was that, like War of 1812, right?
Yeah, well, the technical battle happened in 1815. But it was, I mean, so pivotal of a time. And then you could go on the other side of the river where the British thought that they actually won. Because they had a little skirmish on the other side of the river and out by Algiers, on the Algiers side of the river. So you could go there too. And also go by English Turn, because, I mean, they had battles by the two forts down there. They also have, like, Fort Pike, because you went to Livingston, but then they have Pike, and they have a couple other ones that get close.
Because Livingston never saw a battle.
No.
Ever.
Well, it did see the U.S. Navy go in and wipe all the pirates away.
That was there before they built the fort.
That's true. It's true. The fort wasn't there yet. But yeah, that's true. They did have no action. It was just built. Saw no combat.
But all the other forts saw battle.
Did they?
I don't know.
They do have a in New Orleans on Bayou St. John, they have Fort St. John. I don't know if you ever heard of it or been there. It's just complete ruins on a levee. And
I have been there.
It's a whole little historical marker, but there's no like.
I have been there. There's a neighborhood on one side of the canal, and then there's the ruins of it on that side.
Yeah.
Very little left.
Very, yeah. So you passed.
I did, and then some cops showed up.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, they were cool. They were just like, "What are y'all doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we just metal detected." And we're like, "Oh, okay, you can't do that here." And I was like, "Oh, my bad."
Oh, really? They don't let you do that?
Well, it's a historical landmine spot.
That's true.
Anytime they have that little plaque, you shouldn't be metal detecting there. So you shouldn't. But if you want to find some good stuff,
right. Well, where's your next place? Where are you going next?
I'm probably gonna do Bayou Lewis. You know where that's at? I got some friends that actually own the property there, and they've asked me on a number of occasions, and I would love to bring you there. That way, when I'm finding some stuff, you can kind of delegate some of the history that I don't know. Maybe I can dig up the clue, and you can go ahead and lay out the story.
Yeah, if I do that, I want to film a quick history on that. That'd be tight.
He said that there's some massive oak trees out there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's work that out. Let's.
And
do
he
something.
said that he's going back there. He's never found anything, but he said there's like broken pottery and there's remnants of people living back there. And those were some of the big like the strips of land that were higher ground. So that's where some of the first Spanish settlers would have came there. That was before the French even made their way down here. So that's pre 1800s, 17.
Yeah, it's in the 1700s, man. That's Yeah, definitely. I'm down for that. Let me know when that is.
So
But
that's my next place I'm going.
that's gonna be interesting, bro.
But another cool story, and this goes back past the 1700s. So this weekend, I went to the Bogochita River. It was 13 feet higher than normal.
Wow.
So they didn't even let us take tubes because they said the trees are like underwater. So they said if you run into a tree, you're going to pop the tube and then you have to float down another 2 hours in the river. So we were able to go kayaking though. So we show up to this place, 9 o'clock in the morning. The guy is super cool. Says, yeah, y'all could use kayaks. We load up the kayaks. We're the only people there. Usually there's like 100 people at this place. We load up on the bus. He comes on the bus and says, we just closed down. And I'm like, oh shit. And he's like, y'all are going to be the only ones on the river. So it was me and 7 of my friends. We jump on the river. We're going down the river, and I asked the guy, I'm like, man, y'all ever found arrowheads or anything? Because I know there was a lot of Native Americans all through Louisiana, Mississippi, into Arkansas. He says, we've never found any arrowheads here. LSU came out here. They found a couple things, but never found any arrowheads. So we're going down the river, and we stop at a couple little sandbars and stuff, and we're hanging out, and we're kind of looking around. Well, one of the second to last sandbars we stop at, just like I said, when they have the concentration of shells or rocks, well, there was a big strip of rocks. So I'm looking around, and I found a couple cool rocks. Well, one of my buddies starts screaming, and I was actually taking a piss on the other side of the little sandbar, and he's like, oh my God, and I run over. It's my buddy Justin King, and he found an arrowhead. And he didn't even see it. All he did was grab some rocks, and he saw one that was kind of flat because we were talking shit about skipping rocks and who can skip a rock more than 3 times. And out he pulls an arrowhead.
Wow.
And from the little bit I know about arrowheads, it's like over 2,000 years old. It could be like 8,000 years old, but
That's old, bro.
yeah. And I'm super interested in that just because of the gap in the dates. Like most of the stuff I find is mid 1800s to like early 1900s. That's usually what I find and I keep. But to hold something in your hand that somebody actually handmade to either protect their family or feed their family, and it was made way before any white settlers or Europeans came here, or the Spanish, it's just unreal. It's unreal that something's still there.
Yeah, of course.
Because stuff from the 1850s, I'll find porcelain buttons or lead bullets, but their clothing, leather, wood, anything like that no longer exist. So the only remnants of that culture are the arrowheads and stuff they made.
Man, that's fascinating. But I say, like you, it's crazy that it's still there. People jack that, take that.
And
just in environment changes, erosion, all kind of stuff could happen.
Right. And how long has that floated or, rolled around in that river before we found it? Mm-hmm. But that, like, whenever I hold that in my hand, the thing that really gets me is when these ships would come in to Louisiana, come up these bayous, come up to the coast, and they would see these Native American tribes that are thousands and thousands of people, and they've never seen these types of homes before. They've never seen the color of the people. They've never seen, how they look. And I just couldn't imagine riding in a boat and coming to basically New World and seeing these people that are a completely different culture that no one's ever known they has existed. And, vice versa. They're seeing people in a ship going, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's bone chilling to really see, any type of artwork and stuff of the early encounters
right.
between the two civilizations.
I mean, that can only be like, I mean, I know we're heading to Mars right now with all the, stuff going on, all the rockets and stuff we got.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the same feeling is like if we find something out there. That's got to be the same situation.
Yeah, if we get contacted, something like that.
That's my next metal detecting adventure. Mars.
There you go.
Hey.
They need you up there.
I know.
Hey, Elon Musk. At Elon Musk, go check us out.
Rattlesnake
Get
Dre.
Rattlesnake Dre up on Mars. That's the next project. We sending our boy to Mars.
And Louisiana Dread will give the history behind Mars and who lived there before.
Well, we're going to claim it as Louisiana territory. This is new Louisiana. And we're going to start up. We're going to bring some crawfish sacks.
Yep, and you could drink in the streets.
We need Gros Ventre here to bring us some crawfish sacks.
Thank you for listening to Ghosts of the Coast, a DSR production.
Yo, this is Ghost of the Coast.
Out.